Welcome to the lecture on cookies, another interesting concept. And basically, we are referring to internet cookies, not the ones that you eat, right? So, let's see how cookies work. So, when you visit websites like Amazon.com, for instance, right, and you have not even signed in, right, and you search for certain products, say iPhone, right? So, let's say I search for iPhone and I add one of these products to the cart, right? Now, this iPhone has been added to my cart, and please pay attention, I have not signed in, right? So I have not registered, I have not subscribed, I have not done anything, right? Now, let's say a few days later, I visit this website again. Now, I have not signed in, but Amazon was able to maintain the state of my cart, right? So here's this iPhone still there. So how it's done? It's done through cookies. So even though I've not registered, I've not signed in, Amazon was able to track which user I am, what were the products that I searched, and basically it was able to maintain the cart state. This is one of the ways how cookies help us. Let's see how cookies actually work. So let's say you're an end user and one fine morning you decide to connect to Amazon.com. So you open up your laptop, you fire up your browser, and then you send a request to Amazon.com, right? An HTTP request. Now at this point in time, please keep in mind that you have not registered and you've not logged into Amazon. So you're just a new user. So at this point, what Amazon does is that if it detects you're a new user, it creates a tiny file called a cookie, which has a unique ID, and it stores it in the backend, for later reference. I'll come to that in a minute. In addition, what it does is that when it responds to your request, it includes that cookie in that HTTP response, which is received by your browser, and via your browser, this cookie gets actually saved in your local system, right, in your laptop or desktop. So it's a really tiny file which actually gets stored. Now let's say you close your browser and you go about your day, or maybe a week later you open up your browser and once again without logging in you just directly open Amazon.com. Now what will happen is that this cookie would be included in the request that you send to Amazon.com, and then it's just a matter of comparing these two cookies, and Amazon would be able to detect who this user is, what were the things he searched for last time, what did he add to his cart. So whatever you did in your previous session would be here. Now cookies serve a lot of different benefits, and they've actually really streamlined user experience over the past several years. Now let's have a look at some of the nice things that cookies offer. So number one, they reduce the number of logins that are required. Otherwise, without cookies, if you move from one page of your website to the next, you would be required to do a relogin, right? So cookies make that they remove that hassle. Another major advantage of cookies is that they can maintain your cart state. So whatever you added to your cart state would be intact. And whenever you visit that website again, you can just simply pick off from the point that you left last time, right? So that's also a good advantage. A third advantage is that cookies also help websites, offer preferences. So basically, let's say you're going to, you're using Amazon.com and you have set up some language preferences, maybe some shipping preferences, or maybe certain type of products that you want. So all of these preferences are also stored against this cookie, or maybe multiple cookies, and then Amazon is able to offer a very nice and customized view of its website based on the user, which it can detect from the cookie. So these are some very nice advantages of cookies. Obviously, there are a few disadvantages as well. We'll come to that in a minute. Another interesting use of cookies is when you visit a shopping website and you search for certain products and then you close the website. A few days later, you open up your Facebook and you start seeing targeted ads for exactly those products which you searched on that website. Now, these are two different systems, right? This is Facebook, this is that shopping website. So how are these two interrelated, and why are you seeing very specific ads around the things that you actually searched on that website? So behind the scenes, this is what we call as third-party cookies, okay? So now the way that third-party cookies work is that, say you go to a shopping website and you search for maybe, let's say, iPhone, right? Now the standard way for cookies to work is that this website is going to send a cookie, which we call a first-party cookie, because it is directly coming from this website. And obviously the same cookie would be stored at the back end of the website as well, right? Now, the next time you visit this cookie would be included, and the website would be able to retrieve your preferences and your cart state and everything, right? Now, in addition to this, a lot of shopping websites, they offer space for tech giants like Facebook or Google to put their ads, right? Now, behind this ad, so what is this ad is actually a piece of script. So it's a script, it's a piece of code, and what this piece of code does is that in addition to the the website creating its own cookie, this ad also creates a cookie on your system. And while creating this cookie, it also captures what was the website you were on, what were the products that were being displayed on the web page. And the same cookie also gets stored on Facebook. Now, please keep in mind, the first cookie was the first party cookie, which directly came from this website. But this second type of cookie, it's basically generated by this ad, which was placed by Facebook, for example. And this also created and saved a third party cookie on your system. Now, when you connect to Facebook the next time, this cookie would be included. And by comparing these cookies, Facebook would be able to detect exactly who you are, what products did you search last time, and based on this information, this very precise information, Facebook can give you very, very targeted ads. So that's the basic magic, how when you search for something on one website, you start seeing results on other websites as well. Now, cookies offer a bunch of advantages. Like we discussed, for example, they reduce the hassle of repeated logins. They allow us to maintain cart states. They also, store a bunch of preferences in terms of how you want to visit, have the website rendered on your browser. So they offer very streamlined, a very customized, very comfortable user experience. And they've really, streamlined this process of online browsing, online shopping. But there are still some challenges and some security aspects which you should keep in mind. So let's discuss a couple of safety tips with regards to cookies. So the first point that you need to understand is that cookies do not infect your computers. They cannot, right? So they are sort of like text files. So they cannot really infect your systems, but they can compromise your privacy, as we just saw, using, for example, third party advertisement. And moreover, in a few instances, hackers can actually steal your cookies. And since they store your session data, the sort of like your login information while you're using a website during that session, so that can also sometimes be misused. More recently, there have been new regulations like, the European Global Data Protection Regulation, which basically makes it mandatory, and they have been enforcing it, and the GDPR and other regulations have sort of enforced a lot of websites to actually show, cookie pop-ups where user has the choice of, either to accept or reject the cookies, right? Now, accepting cookies is not obligatory, which basically means that even if you decline the cookies, you can pretty much use the website. It will just work fine. The only thing is that your experience may not be as seamless. You may not have your preferences stored and things like that. But apart from that, functionality wise, it will work perfectly fine. There are some instances in which it is a good idea to decline cookies, right? Let's discuss those. So the first instance is when the cookie pop-up mentions third-party cookies, right? So this would be something like, you see this, this pop-up on your screen when you visit a website, and usually you'll have something like various third parties are also collecting data to show you your personalized contents and ads. So these type of cookies, it's usually a good idea not to accept them, right? If you're fine with, having your preferences shared across third parties, then that's the choice. But generally speaking, it's usually not recommended to accept these type of cookies. The second situation in which you should definitely not, accept cookies and decline cookies is if you see the website is using the HTTP protocol, which is basically a protocol which sends all of your information in plain text, right? So it's not encrypted, and anybody who wants to eavesdrop on that, they would be able to do that. So usually with, non-secure websites which use HTTP, you're going to see this word non-secure on the top of your browser. And if you're using HTTPS, which then you'll see this lock sign, and HTTPS is actually quite nice because it encrypts your end-to-end communication, right? So if you visit a website which is not secure, which is using HTTP, you should definitely not accept cookies. And generally speaking, it's just good digital hygiene to periodically delete your cookies. It's not a good idea to have cookies persist over a very long time. Okay, so these were some of the safety tips regarding cookies. I'll see you in the next lecture.